welcome to another edition of SFA Now. I'm your host, Belen Casillas, and we're here to talk about a special segment I like to call Behind the Scenes. In this segment, we take a look at how entertainment mediums are processed and finalized. This time, we'll be answering the questions of what happens behind the movie cinema camera, how film students go and through production. And here to help answer all these questions is Professor of the Art and legendary actor himself, the one and only Brad Maule. Thank you, Brad, for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So let's get started. Before we go behind the scenes of how students create their films, how did you get started in the film industry?
Well, first of all, I went to SFA as a theater student, an English major, or theater major, English minor. Graduated, went out to Los Angeles, worked for about 10 years in television. You'd probably have to watch me on MeTV or something now, but I was on Charlie's Angels, Three's Company, Too Close for Comfort, shows like that, The White Shadow. And then I got my big break. The producer of General Hospital saw me, and I'd never watched a soap before, but she saw me and cast me, and I was on that show for 22 years.
Wow.
And then when you get older out there, they start cutting your roles back and you work less and less. And then I got another series, Seventh Heaven, where I was Ashley Simpson's dad. And then after that, I thought, you know, once you're on a show for a long time, you are that in the public's eyes. So I thought, you know, I'll just go back to Texas and start a whole new life. So I moved back to Texas. I went all over Texas looking for a place to live where I thought I would be comfortable. And I came to Nacogdoches, and I liked it, and I fished for 30 straight days. I didn't catch any fish because I didn't know how to fish anymore. Right. But then I started working for the university, and they've been very kind to me, and I've worked here for almost 10 years now.
So tell me about your first day, the first class you taught.
I was late for class.
Okay.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of odd, but in Hollywood, especially working on television for years and years, I was accustomed to somebody calling me and waking me up. I'm not trying to brag, but I mean, a car would pick me up. They would take me to the studio. They'd get me dressed and push me out on stage. And then when I got here, I was like, when do they pick me up? Where's my makeup artist, you know?
Right.
And they were like, you're a teacher now, Brad. You're going to have to grow up.
So a completely new lifestyle that you had to get accustomed to.
Yeah.
So now you've taught about 10 years, and I'm sure you don't run late to class anymore.
No, I don't.
That's good. So now let's talk about the students, and let's talk about the pre-production, production, and post-production, and what you've taught the students throughout this 10 years. So let's talk about the pre-production. How is an idea born in the classroom to make a film?
Well, first of all, let me tell you this. What I do best is I'm an actor and an idea person. So I'm not a technician, and I freely admit that. William R. Scott teaches the technical parts of filmmaking. But I'm good with the beginning students because the most important thing in a film is story and an idea, and that's what I try to give them. And they can go through personal experiences. You can look at the news on the internet and things that are happening today that are current that you want to tell a story about. I try to get the kids to write about something that they feel deeply about. And, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. There's no new stories. You know, it's a person falls in love with another person, they break their heart, that kind of thing. But what is new is your version of it. So I try to get the students to tell a personal story, something they believe in, and we write a script from that.
So that's where their passion starts for storytelling, and I'm sure you can probably see that. Can you tell us a little bit before we move into the production phase that students have to go through, the beauty of storytelling? What does it mean to tell a story?
Well, you know, most people, strangely enough, can can tell a story about what happened last night. They went to a party, they went to dinner, they went something. But when you get them to write a script, all of a sudden they're just stuck, and we don't come from a tradition of storytellers anymore. So I try to stand them up and get them talking and just talking about something they care about, and then suddenly the story comes out. After that, we have to put it into a format, which is like final draft, and that's a script writing format. We try to get them to tell a story, which is an easy way to think about it is once upon a time, you answer that question. There was a person who answered that question, and then one day this happened, and because that happened, this happened, and because of that, this happened, and until he finally solves this problem.
Right.
Pretty simple stuff.
A sequence of events, and you have the plot.
Yeah.
So that's set on stone, and now the production part is here, and students have to put on the movie what they've planned out. So tell me about how all of production starts.
Well, once we get the script finished, we're still in pre-production, and we have to break the script down, decide what actors we're going to use, the costumes, you have makeup, especially if it's a zombie movie, you got to have your makeup ready to go. You need locations, you need to find those. You have to decide which shots are you going to take first and which shots are last, which locations to use. All of that stuff's in pre-production. Once we start production, it's very much like a military exercise. It's very dependent on collaboration among the students. The one thing about the film program I really admire is that it's built on cooperation. It's not one person leading the charge and doing everything and it being their baby. It has to be, we put them in groups of 4 or 5, and they are responsible. And what happens, it's very similar to maybe being in the military, maybe being in a battle, in that they have to learn to complete a project, to fight it out, and still be friends once they're done with it.
So it seems like it's all one big learning experience through the production side. Now talk to me about the editing side. Once the video has been filmed, now the students go into the edit bay, and what happens in the edit bay? Well,
post-production, while they're shooting the film, in theory, there is a production editor sitting there stringing the scenes together.
Okay.
And then the director and the editor come back and start working on refining it and putting all the scenes together. And then we have to work on sound at the same time. And then once it's locked down into a viable format, then we can score it, which is putting the music on it.
Okay.
And we're also working on color correction and making sure the sound is right, taking out all the extraneous noises. And then hopefully we have test screenings for people, which I find are very important, because you end up with blinders on when you make a film. A lot of times you see the same scene as an editor or a director. You see the same scene over and over and over again, and you may love it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's important to the film or to the story. So we try to get people that don't really know much about film to come and watch it, who don't have a stake in it, and that really helps us. So focus groups help a lot.
So what is the editing software that you guys use here at SFA, and which one do you recommend for those who want to know more about cinematography to use?
Well, we use Final Cut
10
and Adobe Premiere CS6, and then there is some use of Avid right now. Apparently Avid is the more professional, is used in more professional instances in Los Angeles and places. We tend to use Adobe, the CS6 most of all.
Okay, and after it's all done and you've done the pre-production, the production, and the post-production, what is the next step that students have to do?
Pick up their Oscars.
Okay.
At the Oscar ceremony.
Okay.
No, we haven't done that yet.
And SFA Oscars, of course.
But we have won some film festivals, and our alumni are doing great. We've got wins at the Boston Film Festival, Austin, Dallas, we've been very successful. Comic Con, 2 years ago, we won the Comic Con Sci-Fi Festival in Miami with Ricky Kennedy's movie.
So Brad, you are a very unique professor here at SFA because you have professional background.
Because I was late the first day? No.
Maybe so, but you have that professional background that you have to offer your students. And what is the most rewarding feeling when you see them make the film festivals and get awards for their productions?
You know, it is amazing because when I was an actor, as an actor, people think you feel rewarded all the time, but you don't. It's mostly turn downs and rejections. And every once in a while you ride a wave. I have a couple of Emmy nominations and it was pretty much a wave to ride. But most of all, you spend 10 years to have one good project come out. With students, every year somebody has a breakthrough or a success. So this is actually a much more rewarding career to have than being an actor to me. I mean, if they get a nomination from a film festival or if they get an 8 on their score, I'm just as proud as they are. So it's just like it's for me too. So I'm very proud of them.
That's very amazing. Thank you so much, Brad, for sharing the
you.
entire process of cinematography and how you have added to the program. Now, before we wrap up, tell me, what is your motto in the classroom? What is your motto after maybe you retire that you hope that you've given to students?
Well, it's not brain surgery. You don't, like I was telling you earlier before the show started, it's better to understand where it comes in your life. Make it important for yourself, but it's not the end of the world. And we always get another chance. So I believe in redemption and second chances.
Thank you so much, Brad, for that. Alrighty, SFA, well, see you next time on another episode of NAC Edition, of Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Belen Casillas. We hope you have a wonderful day.